Today, I'm giving you 4 low-lift Reels ideas you can start using straight away for easy content that actually gets done without the overwhelm. The last thing you need is another content strategy that sounds amazing in theory but takes 4 hours per post to execute. Everything I'm sharing is doable with your phone, maybe sometimes with like Canva or another editor or whatever you've already created yourself. I'm Natalia and I help creators like you turn content into income, freedom, and a brand you're proud of, so let's do this. All right, the first one is one of my personal favorites, and it's B-roll based, which I love because it means you don't need to like clean up your sofa for a clean background or put makeup on. B-roll is basically any filler clips that you add to your video to make it more interesting, and in a regular video editing setting, it's basically like an overlay that goes on top of the main video like I'm showing you right here. But it's actually a massive time saver for short form video content as well, and I highly recommend you get in the habit of grabbing some everyday clips each week to build your own B-roll library. Now, this can be as simple as like making coffee, any kind of daily activity. So taking a walk, reading a book, you can record yourself working. So maybe writing in notebooks, typing on a keyboard, or something specific. So maybe like arranging flowers if you're a florist. The point is, this is super simple. It takes a couple of minutes max to record, and then it sets you up for months of content if you collect many clips like this. With this idea, all you have to do is to record a voiceover over the footage to carry the message. Sure, you can match the clips to like whatever you're talking about, but you also don't have to. The clips and the audio can be completely separate. Now, this format is super powerful because it feels personal. It's almost like a peek behind the curtain, but you don't have to talk to the camera at all. And in popular opinion, delivered like very calmly over a clip of you just like making breakfast can just feel super relatable, and it can actually make people want to share it. This works brilliantly for things like a story or like an experience that changed your mindset, maybe any red flags you should never ignore in your industry, a mistake you made and what you do differently, maybe something like a counterintuitive truth about your niche. It's easy because you can put it together in minutes, record the voiceover in Canva, and again, no makeup is required. So this is a very good example of this. I have my clip of me just pouring milk into my matcha to make a matcha latte. I'm putting this on top of my desk. Then I've got my kind of, hyperlapse of me just cleaning things before I record. Then I have my recording set up in here. And at the end, I have this like little quirky, weird kind of clip of me just like presenting myself to the camera. I know it's so awkward, but there you go, right? This is how it works. So from here, very easily, you can just pop them onto your timeline like this. Very quick trick that I can show you just for Canva to do the heavy lifting in terms of like arranging or clipping the clips for you. You can actually jump to the elements, go to audio, and pick like something with a beat, right? So let's say I want maybe something like this. So I'm going to grab it and pop it in here at the very bottom, and I'm going to use beat sync. And that doesn't mean that I necessarily want to use this piece of music. It's just going to make the whole thing a little bit more rhythmic for me. Of course, I already had kind of the equal parts in here, so it's not going to do that much in that regard. However, you can very easily just kind of make beat sync match it for you, and that's going to just clip it very easily. Of course, I have this kind of longer one in here that I'm going to be talking over, but this is how you can just have Canva arrange the clips, and even if I didn't want to use that music, I can just remove it very quickly. Now, what I want to show you is the adding voiceover option. If you jump to add audio here at the very bottom, you can choose record voiceover from here. If you don't see it that way, just because you may have other layers underneath, you jump to the elements in the left panel, go to audio in here, and from here you see the option to record a voiceover. Now, if I jump into it, I can choose a microphone, so I'll go for my specific microphone in here, and I can just literally start recording. I can just do a little voiceover over my text, and that's gonna like show me what's happening on the screen, and I could of course like talk through it. I'm not gonna run through the whole video, but this is the point, right? You're telling stories, you're talking about something that's happening on screen, or maybe just talking about something, as I've said, completely unrelated. You're sharing your experience, you're talking about something that like you had an aha moment, like a little insight that your audience can love and use at this very moment. And then once you finish, you can just click in here. Of course, imagine that ran to the very end. Canva is going to process it for you and you have your own recording. If you want to, you can also use enhanced voice depending on how good your quality of the mic is, because Canva has this feature where it just kind of separates the voice from the background for you and makes it a little bit more clear and there's less noise. So it's super cool, very easy. You can see that you can pull something like this together very quickly and then you just share, download it, and you're sorted with this piece of content. Of course, you could absolutely just add text on top of it, but we're not trying to make this a little too complicated. This would do, and let the voiceover, as I've mentioned, carry and convey that message for you. Okay, so the next one is something that people avoid, and that's why we need to talk about it right away. Reuse or repurpose your old content and repeat yourself. And let me explain why quickly. We don't do it enough because we're afraid our people already saw it, but one, only a small percentage of your following sees your posts. We all know it. The majority of us aren't happy about our reach nowadays, and that's a fact. So the chances that they'll see it again is pretty low. And then two, even if they do, repeating yourself actually reinforces your messaging and makes you known for something. So this is so important. Repeating yourself can actually be like a useful tactic in your overall strategy. And practically speaking, this is one of the lowest lift things you can possibly do. So let me show you all the little tactics that this whole low lift idea covers. One, take an old reel, repost it as is. That's it. That's reusing it in its entirety. Simple, but there's, of course, more. Two, you can use your old audio from your own posted reel or TikTok, then put fresh clips over it and add text, then you're done. Right? So it's almost like a little voiceover too. Three, take something you've already written, like a carousel, maybe an email tip, a paragraph from your blog post, even a caption that you put a lot of thought into, and turn it into a reel. You're not writing anything new, but rather you're just changing the delivery format and putting content that already exists in front of people who have not seen it yet. And this format is so important because you can actually multiply it in many different ways. So with the example of an already posted carousel, you get the first slide hook, then the main text from maybe like 2-3 slides, add your new CTA, and that's your brand new like talking head reel, maybe brand new voiceover clip, or literally a B-roll based clip where this text from the carousel becomes the text on the video. And better yet, you could actually turn it into actual content and post them too. So you have two posts. You've just like tripled your content from this original this way and without starting from scratch each single time. We don't have to be fresh and new every single time we post. We really don't have to. And listen, I'll also tell you about the kinds of things this works for. So this could be your biggest mistake, the easiest way to do something in your niche, maybe a quick tip you stand by, a hot take you've already shared somewhere else. Anything that you've done, anything that could fit on a short clip will make brilliant reels. They're easy to make because all you need is whatever you've done already. And again, some B-roll to slap on it. This could be done on Instagram, on TikTok in their like native editors, or if you're batch creating content, you could sort it out in Canva too. By the way, I've shared an easy way to plan and design content in Canva in a super simple way here. So watch it after this video. So I have this B-roll clip of myself in here that I've recorded a long time ago. Actually, I can just jump into Canva and trim it. So I can jump in and I can pick the clip where I'm actually just doing something. So let's say 25 seconds, and I can maybe speed it up if I wanted to, as I could do a little kind of almost like a hyper reel in this case. So I can use this as the basis of my design. I can actually make the background black just to fade the video into it a little bit. You'll see what I do just in here, just to make sure that I've got this like black overlay on top of it and to make sure that my text is visible enough. And this is something that I want to show you. I was actually just talking about this, like planning and designing content in Canva workflow. And in here, I designed like a newsletter. So I can just jump in here and grab these two pieces of text literally from the newsletter as it is. And I can just add my text. I've just hit T. So just like that, I can change the text to white, make it bold, make it bigger. Of course, you can do whatever you want with it. So you can add like a little kind of overlay underneath it. You can add different effects in here. So you can add a bit of a glow effect or maybe a background if you prefer to, just in the style of what you see very often on Instagram. So I can just copy that and add another piece of text that I've got in here. I actually switched to the video editor in here, but you can see that I can then adjust when that text appears. I can maybe add a bit of an animation just that it kind of pops up in here, and voila, you have yourself a very simple, very easy reel that you can then use very quickly. And this one is probably my favorite thing to talk about right now, and it's the yap session. So grabbing your phone and talking to the camera. Now, I know what you're thinking. This takes a lot of effort. I need to script. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it's all irrelevant because other social media gurus conditioned you to believe you need to do more and be more to do content. And that's just not true. And there are people out there to prove it. On TikTok, on YouTube, anywhere, you'll see content makers that just come and go and just talk. One of my most drilling thoughts from the last year or two is that no tips really matter because your uniqueness is what's going to attract or repel people. And I mean repel in a good way because we don't want the wrong audience to engage with our content because they're like not the target, they won't understand, and they most certainly will not buy from you. So repelling should in fact be a part of your content strategy. By the way, watch this video to build a solid one easily yourself. I'm talking through it each step of the way. So after the small detour, which is not a detour, you need to know about this actually, we're back to our yap sessions. There's so much talk about having the perfect hook or being perfectly concise in your content, but people who connect the best are actually starting their reels almost like mid-conversation and instantly pull you in by just being themselves and yapping on a particular subject with no qualms, but definitely with like passion or enthusiasm. And in the big year of 2026, with AI literally like attacking us from all over, this like more natural, more human, more like authentic way of talking to one another is going to be what clicks with the audiences the most. So grab a phone and literally yap to it. This could be on a particular like timely observation about your niche at the moment. Maybe I did this so you don't have to, where you share your experience and turn it into a useful lesson instead of like, again, a polished performance for the perfect reel. Now, did you do something? Did you, maybe you had a conclusion or like a takeaway? Did you learn something and you want to tell the world about it? Did you notice someone was doing something cool, so you tried it, you shout them out and talk about what you achieved with it? Like, let's all prioritize connection and talking to our audiences as if we're talking to friends. And I know it's easy to say, but sometimes I'll just like grab my fiance and I really want to tell him something about an experience, and I could just easily grab my phone and record me yapping to him or just yap straight to the camera and then cut the clips to get the gist of it and post it. And the last one is one that I think is so criminally underused, especially once you understand just how little production work is actually involved in it. You take a question from your comments, from your DMs, your emails, from your clients, even a question that a student asks you in a workshop, and you turn it into your answer into a reel. Now, the question is your hook, your answer is the actual content, right? You don't have to come up with a new idea because your audience already handed it to you. And that's honestly the most audience validated content format there is, because someone already told you they want this information, and other people in your audience are almost certainly wondering the exact same thing, but just haven't asked it yet. And it's also tied to your like previous reel. So that's giving it a bit more of a breathing room, like bringing new life into it for those people who have not seen it yet. What makes this format so brilliant is that it does something that super carefully like crafted, pre-planned content rarely does. It makes the person who asked feel genuinely like seen. They just feel heard, and everyone watching gets the signal that you're the kind of creator who actually listens, who responds, who's an active member of their own community, and not just someone who talks at them. That builds trust so much faster than like any perfectly scripted, curated reel ever will. And again, from a production standpoint, this is as low lift as it goes to. So on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, you can literally use the built-in reply to function. So you can tap reply in the comment, it attaches it to your video automatically, and you just talk. That's it. This can be a talking head. This can be, you talking, but you can also record something else with your phone. So for example, again, one type of a reply is when I grab the phone and just start talking at it, but also the other one would be when you just like narrate through everything that you're doing, right? Bottom line is there's nothing to edit or to design later on. Now, if you're on a platform that doesn't have that feature, you can still like take a screenshot, or maybe, someone replied to your email and you ask for their permission and you turn that into a content. That's another option, right? So open Canva, slap the screenshot on top of your video as an overlay, and then record yourself answering it. Either way, the production effort is genuinely super minimal because the content is already there. Now, I'm actually super against hoarding knowledge. I've talked about it before many, many times, and I don't want to be the one to contribute to the problem with this video. So I'd like to ask you to take this one and apply one idea from it here. So let me know in the comments which one you'll be creating next. I want to hear about it. I want to see it. So if you do it, please do tag me. And if you want to go even deeper on making your content feel sustainable and actually manageable, this video in here is going to walk you through how I plan my 45 days of content in an hour, and it pairs perfectly with everything we've just covered. So subscribe because I have so much more actionable stuff coming your way, and hit the like button because it genuinely helps me bring more content to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.